If you sell courses through your YouTube channel, this is a case study you probably won't want to miss. Sure, making it rain is really cool and having it on semi-autopilot is every single YouTuber's dream, but I think it's the results of that you might be really interested in. After I got done recording the case study with Wes, who you're going to see today, who sells the digital product, that's when the really juicy details came out and I want to share with you right now. So he's recently gotten married and he's got a couple of aging dogs that need looking after. So after the interview, I asked him, hey man, like, are you gonna be selling, something more high ticket? And he looked at me and was like, I don't really want to, like, why would I add more stuff to my plate? I'm paraphrasing here because it was his words, but he was saying, look, basically, I can spend more time doing the things I love and spending time with people I love without really much effort other than making videos. And that made me really pause because I don't know about you, but I absolutely love that because so many other gurus are preaching like a 7 or an 8-figure business, but you don't need to have that to be successful. Like, you can have your YouTube channel making several videos, having it on semi-autopilot just like Wes, and it's bringing income for you, and you can just do like life. Like, can you imagine how stress-free it would be just to create a video, have a course to sell for you through video? Man, that's a pretty cool lifestyle. Now, the thing that's really interesting now, I know the money's really important here. So before working together, Wes's channel was generating about 4 sales every single month, about 497 pop. After working together, it's been about probably a year and a half of implementing some of the changes you're gonna see in today's video. He's now doing 60 sales a month at 497 a pop. But here's some little context for you. Wes has done the hard effort. He's put in those videos. He's created everything himself. What we're going to be talking about today are the story selling emails and the interviews that I went and did and spoke to his customers, and how we use that proof in his marketing, in his webinar, and his emails, so that we could create this revenue engine on the back end with email. Now, I don't know about you, but 60 sales at 497 a pop, like, I'll let you do the math, but for most people, that's a pretty good damn lifestyle. So if you're interested to hear more of the backstory, the ups and downs, how we all sort of made it work together, and you're a YouTuber and you sell a digital course, check out this case study that I've done with Wes today.
Hey, so I'm talking with one of my past clients, Wes McDowell, and Wes and I did some story-based emails the past few years working together. And the story of how first Wes and I got together was actually, I was writing his weekly broadcast emails to go out to his email list. And then I think a few times Wes reached out being like, can we do some like story-based ones? And then I got on the phone with his clients and then started to get some really good stuff out of those stories. And then, it's progressed from there. But hey, Wes, I was wondering if you could take me back, like before we started implementing these stories and testimonials and emails inside of your full funnel process. So just for context, Wes has a YouTube channel. He has a sign up to a webinar, and on the webinar, they pitch his profitable website launchpad product, and then there's follow-up emails. But I was wondering if you could let me know, like, what did you try before all the story stuff to improve your webinar conversions?
Yeah. So, there's the webinar piece, right? And then there's the email piece that goes out after. So
exactly.
When I first started, the webinar wasn't too different than it is now. I have since added a few stories in there too, which I think helps. But in terms of the emails, they were just very kind of fact-based, right? Just like what you're going to be able to accomplish with the program, what's included in the program, some kind of like abstract results that you might be able to get, right? But then once we transform the emails into be more kind of story-based, individual testimonials from actual members of the program, that's when things started to really take off. So like back up, we'll get to that later, I guess. But in the beginning, I was selling, trying to remember the exact figures, but I feel like I was selling maybe one of these like every 3 days. Was kind of the cadence of how often they were selling. And that was just with the just the facts approach email. So, and things have picked up quite a bit of steam since we've changed it up.
Yeah. So you're doing the facts-based approach, and then we sort of implemented this. Was there any sort of frustration? Did you try to attempt like something else but yourself, or is this something you immediately outsourced?
Yeah, well, you came to me with this, if you remember. So like, I don't even remember like how I think you approached me on Instagram or something at some point. Is that how it? I don't even remember.
Well, we did a podcast a few times. I think that's how we first hit it off, was each other's podcast. And then I think I pitched you on emails, and then I was like, let me get some more work for myself. Hey, this is really valuable. Let's get some customer stories out.
And I remember you asked me about that, and I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of fluffy. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But like, because you hear the word story, and I think like I finally wrapped my mind around what it means, right? And I finally get it. But I think a lot of people, a lot of business owners, when they first hear the word story, they think of this like it's going to be framed like a once upon a time kind of start to finish story, but it's not what it is, obviously. So you came to me with that. I would never have thought of it, because it's one of those kinds of things where you need someone else to bring the idea to you. Otherwise, I would never have thought of it. So
right.
I had not tried it myself.
It's just interesting how you said it was a fluffy thing. And like, I think it's interesting right now with AI, it's super easy to just like write really good fact-based emails that you're saying using AI, and then like kind of forgetting this part. And I kind of love that you said like, I thought this is a bit fluffy, and now it's a main thing. Curious, so did you try like were you frustrated with anything like that you'd seen on other information to improve purchases of your program? Because that's the end goal, like whether it's on the sign up page or the webinar or the follow-up emails, like did you try any other solutions?
I'm trying to remember everything I did. I mean, it's been like 4 years, I think, since I've launched this thing. So the first main thing I put all my attention on was that webinar. I have switched that up too since. I don't know how relevant this is to our conversation, but I basically went from a much more like meat and potatoes, like I'm actually going to teach you like how to do this thing on the webinar, to the more like what they tell you to do, which never feels good. It's like it's teaching a little less, but it's inspiring a lot more. It's telling these stories of what's possible. So I did switch that up, and that helped as well. I thought it might backfire, because I thought people might just get kind of pissed off that they're not really being taught strategies necessarily here. So I switched that up. Didn't really get any pushback on it. And I think it's about the same time when I started kind of seeing the light of like, okay, this is all about, the story thing is all about inspiration. It's all about letting people know what's possible on the other side.
Exactly. It's helping them make
I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, that's fine. Yeah. That's what you, so yes, you tried like just telling them, but then once we had these stories in place, it helped people get closer to making a decision rather than like teaching them and giving value in that regard, because there's two different, like value isn't just like in the form of currency of like giving them training. You can also help them make a decision by feeling like that person's like me. And it's interesting because one of the first few people I think was like Marvin. Did you use Marvin on your webinar?
I think he is in my webinar.
Yeah. Like his story was really interesting because it's like, he was doing like Wix and Squarespace and like all the things that your ideal client would be using. And it's the perfect sort of story that they're going through, your customers, until they found your product. And I think Marvin got some like a client like the next week after going through your program or something. So what have you found like from your audience? Like, have there been any feedback from them saying like this one really resonated, or like this got me over the line, or something like that?
I mean, honestly, no. Like, I don't really hear from people at that stage of like, and most people when they're faced with something like this, I don't think it's the top thing of their mind is to reach out and like let me know about that. They'll ask their own questions at that point. And I think, what I do think these stories are doing well is they're letting people self-select in or out without them having to reach out to me, right? Because they'll read someone like Marvin who was using Squarespace, and because that's a big thing. Like most people that that are interested in the program, they all have the same question, which is, but I use Wix, I use Squarespace, I use this other thing.
Correct.
Will this still work for me? So having those stories allows me to like not have to field that same question over and over again.
Right. So you're saving a bunch of time. That's great.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of all these specific stories. Like we got to a point where I think we've done like 12 or 15 now, where it's like we wanted to curate each story to answer a specific objection. What part of this whole process made that like what do you think was effective?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that was effective. I think when we first started, we were focusing a little too much just on telling one person's whole story, which we kind of figured out at a certain point, at least the emails for me, it was going to be more helpful to answer a specific objection versus talk about like, here's Patty's whole story. Because guess what? People don't know Patty. They don't care about Patty, but they know that they have a problem with like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get this done. So if they read an email, it's all about Patty's struggle with, I didn't think I was going to have time for this, but then I sat down and did it. I got it done in a few days. Right. So it's like focusing on one thing rather than like everything that was going on with this one person. Does that make sense?
Correct.
I think that was like the big unlock for this particular program.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember there was like one person I spoke to was they tried so many other website solutions. If this one failed, then their partner was like either going to leave them or like not talk to them. Then there was lots of people like Patty who had put her website off for 2 years and then had lost like 6 figures in revenue, what she estimates. Then there was Bobby as well, the YouTube guy. And it was really good just going through these stories. I think you mentioned this before. It's like when I'm able to do this and not you, they're able to just like tell me nonchalantly what's going on. Have there been other benefits other than the conversions that you found in pulling these out?
Yeah, I mean, well, conversions is the main thing. The other thing we've touched on is it saves time. Like it gives people a quick answer, and it gives them something to kind of latch onto without having to get because I was going to say get on the phone with me, but we don't even do like, we're not set up for like phone selling. Like it's literally just, they would have to email us and we have to email them back. Not the end of the world, but it's so much better when people are getting their answers kind of automatically. So there's that. And then just working with you, it's been great because like you said, it's so much better having someone else speak to them and do it like from an outside perspective. Because I've tried it a few times where I've just done it and they kind of clam up, like because they feel like either they've been watching me on YouTube for so long, so they get that kind of like, oh, like I'm nervous to talk to you kind of thing, right? Or they just don't want to, or they end up gushing about the product because I'm the one who created it. Like they would never feel comfortable saying anything like bad. And it comes across more authentic when they talk to you than when they talk to me.
Right.
There's a distance, you know?
Yeah. And that's really big because you've seen it before. It's like, hey, I just want to do a big shout out for Wes. And it's just like, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's coming from the heart. Cool. So in light of that, like I'm sure I imagine it's like with the conversions, can we talk about some of the results? Like you had a recent launch that came out. And just to preface everyone, like Wes has put in years of hard work into his videos, and videos are very good at trust building. So just like a grain of salt that, you know, these emails are helpful, but Wes didn't put in a lot of work. In saying that, like, sure, let's talk about the results.
So when we talk about conversion rates here, it is worth noting these are not cold conversions. Like they've been watching me on YouTube, like you said, so they're naturally going to be a little higher. But I have a business coach. I don't know if you've heard of Rick already.
Yes.
Yeah, he's my business coach now.
Oh, cool.
And I ran past like the conversion rates that we're getting, and he was like blown away. So basically, from people opting in to the webinar all the way through purchasing, that's sitting at about 5% right now, which I'm told by people like Rick that that's really high. So I attribute, you know, it's a little bit of it's the trust that I've built. It's also the webinar I think is pretty good. But within the webinar, there's a lot of stuff that you provided me, like the stories there, which I think really help it gel together and help people really see like, okay, this is doable. This is something that can help me. And then the emails as well. So the emails do most of the selling. Like there's the webinar up front, but then it's a week of emails. They're not all story-based emails. I've peppered in a few in there that are more just kind of like meat and potatoes. Like this bonus is you're going to get this, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But they're more than half story based. And yeah, I mean, all that together, a 5% conversion rate is really solid. So
Yeah, that's sick. So
yeah.
just to like pull out the numbers, your course is it still 497?
Yeah, 497.
So out of every 100 opt-ins who come through your YouTube,
Mhm.
5 people purchase a product, which is like just under 2K, right? Oh,
Mhm.
so no, it's 2,500, just under 2,500.
Yeah.
If my maths are correct. How quick your channel's got, like, what is it, 250,000 subscribers right now, or just around that?
It's about that. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
under.
How many opt-ins would you get a week? I'm curious.
Good question. I haven't checked that. Can I just check that real quick, or
Yeah. Got the
or do you have
time.
time? Okay. So in the past month,
Mhm.
I've gotten 1,200 people.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So
1,200 people for that. So I'm just as bad as math as you are, or maybe
yeah,
worse.
you can make that assumption. It's okay.
Yeah.
So 1,200, I've got the calculator right here.
Good.
1,200 times
Divide by 20.
0.05. That's 60 people in would you say a month?
Mhm.
So 60 people roughly this month, 500. Okay, that's like a 30K a month, roughly speaking,
Yeah.
right?
Right. And there's obviously people that do payment plans in there, so like
And
not
people
all the
drop,
money's in the bank, but
yeah, right. And
yeah.
people drop off, and there's like
Mhm.
chargebacks, and yeah. So I've seen that happen as well. But
Yeah.
that's great, dude. So I imagine this is like every YouTuber's dream, right? Where it's like you create a video and then there's like money going through in the background.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is a great system. Like honestly, anyone who's not on YouTube, I think, is really missing an opportunity. So
Exactly. Okay, cool. All right. Well, we've broken down the numbers there. Are there any other results you think we talk about for someone in your position, perhaps, or anything that's intangible, or you think we've got this covered?
I think that, I mean, that's really the major relevant stat there, I think, is just conversions.
Mhm.
And then just in terms of intangibles, I mean, from where my emails and my webinar started to
Mhm.
where they are now, it's like sixfold what I was doing. Because what was I doing? Like, I think I said one every 3 days I was selling one. Now it's like 2 a day, trying to get it to get to 3 a day. And I think that's the stuff that really sells a product. You got to hit people on their what's emotional to them and like what they feel is possible. That's going to sell so much more than just features, as you know. So
Yeah. Perfect. Wes, last question I'd like to ask is, who would you recommend the service that you and I did together? Who would you recommend that to, and why?
okay, so I would recommend your email writing for anyone, obviously in my business, course creation. Well, can I ask you though, what are your other specialties? Like, who do you do this for?
Who do I do this for? Coaches, consultants,
Yeah.
course creators, and you're one of them. You're a course creator.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, course creators, coaches, consultants, all the above, anyone who needs that emotional buy-in from people, because these are all emotional decisions, especially like coaching and consulting. It may sound like it's just pure like logic involved, but it's not. Like, these are people who are trying to reach a next level in their life or their business, and they need to know what's possible to be able to confidently take that step. And the only way to do that is to see that other people have gone before them. And yeah, you got to get that story out of them. You got to get the whole start to finish saga of where they started, where they're at now. So for any of those people, highly recommend.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks a lot, Wes, for your time.
Hey, so if you're a YouTuber and you've got at least 5 million views and you've got a digital product, it's got some sales, you've got some proof, but you know you want to take it to the next level, but you're not really sure how, like on the back end of marketing. Maybe you're really good at creating videos, you've got really good engagement, people love you, but either you're managing your team, lots of different plates to spin, newer video ideas, you just don't know where to get started with email. And if that's you, There's a link down in the description below to book, a 20-minute call with me, just get to know you, see if it's a good fit, and hopefully you and I can create the same sort of revenue engine on the back end with your digital product and your YouTube channel. And if you're like Wes, you just want to have an easy lifestyle where you're creating videos, you show up and everything else is working in the background for you. You've got the webinar, you've got the emails, you got the proof just sort of selling for you, so you don't have to really do any of the selling. Make sure you're booking a time with me in the link description and we'll make that dream happen for you.